You're listening to the AmWritingFantasy podcast. In today's publishing landscape, you can reach fans all over the world. Query letters are a thing of the past. You don't even need a literary agent. There is nothing standing in the way of making a living from writing. Join two best-selling authors who have self-published more than 20 books between them. Now, on to the show with your hosts, Autumn Burt and Jasper Schmidt.
Welcome to the AmWritingFantasy podcast. This is episode 105. I'm Autumn, and today Jesper has the recording session off. And I have with me a very special guest instead, author and entrepreneur Bryan Cohen. Whoa, welcome to the AmWritingFantasy podcast, Bryan.
Thank you, Autumn. I appreciate you having me. We had some nice technical difficulties figuring this out, but I'm so glad we were able to make it work.
Well, it's always nice working with someone who's probably, you do live webinars and all these other things, so I have a feeling you can roll with the technical difficulties very well. I wasn't worried. But hey, that's the nice thing is with modern technology, there's always a workaround. There's at least like 3 or 4. So we figured it out and you're here and I'm so excited for you to join us today. So I know you through these amazing AMS ad challenges you run, but I'd of course heard of your name way before the AMS ad challenges because you are known as like a guru of book blurbs. But I know that's not even close to everything you've done. So if you could introduce yourself, that would be fantastic.
Sure, of course. Well, of late, the big thing that I've been doing is I run these free courses. We talk about them as challenges, these free challenges about Amazon advertising, one of the strangest, weirdest little advertising platforms in authordom, and it's our goal to try to just make it simpler, but also try to make them not spend all of your money. And those are the 5-day Amazon ad profit challenges, and I've been running them, and I have a really good team behind them, and it's a lot of fun. But originally, I would say some people might know me from my podcast, The Sell More Books Show.
Yes.
Some people might know me from the author copywriting agency I run, Best Page Forward.
Mm-hmm.
We write book descriptions and ad copy. And I'm an author myself, having written multiple young adult sci-fi fantasy. Depends on depends on where you're placing superheroes. Amazon has a category on both sides.
Oh,
so
that's
who even
funny.
knows?
So is it like more techie, so it ends up in the sci-fi side, or if it's more magic, it's on the fantasy side, or is that?
But mine has both. So who even
hey, that's excellent.
But yeah, so I am not currently writing fantasy, but I have been in the state of writing fantasy in the past. So hopefully I still qualify.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, just for your expertise alone, I think it's fantastic. Like I said, I've done at least 2 or 3 of your AMS ad challenges, and I learn something new every single time. They're amazing. And so it's great to have you on here. But yeah, you get some of the fantasy mindset and the world building and the powers and making rules so that people, aren't going crazy and can do anything and they're a god, and that just makes it so less tense and fun.
Yes, this is true.
Well, I mean, there's so many things we could talk about. It was hard to choose even a focus other than I know you through AMS ad challenges, but you help authors so much with marketing and market from the book blurbs to the AMS ads. I mean, when authors market books, with all your experience and all the people you've helped, what do you think is the number one thing authors do wrong when they're trying to get their book out there in the world?
Well, I think it has to start with the foundation of the book. The I don't know who invented it, but I'll borrow it and not take credit for it.
Okay.
But writing the book with the marketing in mind is so key. When the first I think I remember it being like conceptualized for me when a few years ago when Adam Croft, a very successful mystery and thriller author,
Yes.
he started talking about writing the hook, the uh, the first line of the book description, the thing that could be used on ads, the copy, as some people call it, to write that before the book.
Okay.
And I just thought, well, how smart is that? Because if you don't even have a good hook, if you don't even have something that would get people excited about it, chances are you're going to have a hard time getting people excited about your book. So I loved the idea of writing that big one-liner even before the book, and I've heard of some people writing the book description for a book before they write the book. And I think that is a thing that a lot of people get wrong, is they write the book and then they do all the marketing stuff after. But really, you might want to start by doing some of the marketing work first to make sure you're writing a book that you're going to put so much effort into that there will actually be people who are interested in.
Right. Oh, I should say, woo, because I definitely one of those people who I do write little descriptions before I start writing, and then I refer back to it, because it's one thing to come up with an idea and develop it with a description or a hook, but then you have to make sure you actually pay attention to it. Not you're like halfway through the novel and go, oh, that's not even close to what I'm doing. It should guide you, not be this exercise that you put aside and don't even think about until you're done, and then you realize you're completely off the rails.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I was working with a friend of mine who was trying to write to market and trend. It was a paranormal cozy mystery, and she sent over the book description, and I read it, and I thought, I don't think this is paranormal cozy, at least not the way the book description's written.
Oh,
And I
interesting.
check in with her, you definitely want to write in this genre, right? And she says, yes. And I said, all right, well, let me connect you with someone who writes a lot of paranormal cozy, and she can give you opinions on what would need to change. And certain like setting pieces and character motivations and tropes, as they are often referred to, changing those in that early stage of the game has now made her a huge, like, on the edge of 5-figure author
Oh
per
my
month
gosh.
success. And and obviously I'm not taking credit for that either. I'm saying she has written now 13 books in that series.
Oh my goodness.
But when you take a minute, take a breath, share it with some experts, share it with some people, in that early stage, it could be worth a lot of money, but it could also just be worth like helping you to write the book you were meant to write anyway.
That's true. Or even just drawing out some of the tidbits, or like the tropes, like you mentioned, like, well, did you consider this? This is popular right now, or that's been overdone, so stay away from it. It could save you months of writing to write something that, you could have gone a different way and it might have been a little bit better. I have to admit, I recently did read Chris Fox's book, Right to Market. And we had him on the podcast, but of course we talked about Kickstarter and not his Right to Market books. But it's
his
wonderful.
Kickstarters have been pretty cool, but
They've
yeah.
been awesome. But I do really appreciate the idea. I think a lot of authors, they hear that Right to Market and they think, oh, you're taking away the fun of it, the innovation of it, but it's not really that. It's sort of looking at it from a business perspective, saying, I'm going to spend this many months of my life and probably give up some things like family time so I can do this, and I want to invest that wisely with something that I really would like to do well, at least as well as the best chance it has.
Yeah, I have an analogy that might help those people.
Oh, that would be lovely.
So I used to do improv comedy, and anyone who's ever been to an improv comedy show, that they often take suggestions from the audience.
Mm-hmm.
and like a word, or I've been to a show where they use a title of a musical, or they use a news story that they have to read out loud, and then they will take that inspiration and they will use that to inspire them for a scene. Now, you might think you get some weird suggestion. Of course, people are always trying to use potty words, whatever.
Oh.
But at least drinking on a Friday, Saturday
Right,
night
right,
they offer.
okay.
Um,
Setting the idea there,
exactly,
okay. Yeah.
exactly.
Uh,
But you've got this word that you think, oh, this might constrain me. But I have seen words and concepts and titles and news stories inspire incredible things,
oh,
even though you might think that word or that concept would constrain you. It's really what you do with it, what you do within that framework, that is where the creative process happens. I mean, Shakespeare's plays
mm-hmm.
were nearly all adaptations, and
Oh,
they have stood the test of time,
that's true.
even though they weren't his original idea. He
That's
took these concepts, these other plays, these stories, these pieces of history,
mm-hmm.
and within that framework, created something we're still talking about 400 plus years later.
That's a great analogy, and that really does bring it home. I agree with you. I had never considered it in terms of Shakespeare, and I only have his complete work sitting on my bookshelf, and I've read most of them, so that's
As
kind of
do I. I do
amazing.
love me the bard.
Oh yes, yeah, we that's a whole different conversation, but that is
We can
fantastic.
talk about that in the M Shakespeare podcast.
Oh, excellent. I will see you there as soon as we find it.
Okay, great.
Send me the link. So that's wonderful, and that kind of develops too. So obviously, I mean, I already know you like to, you're so good at writing blurbs. You even teach in the AMS ads challenges. You teach a little bit of blurb writing and how to hone them and refine them. And I have to admit, so it's nice to hear that you agree, you think that they should be part of like the original story development. It leads so much into your marketing, and that's where you grow it. You've seen probably thousands of blurbs. I mean, what do you think authors get wrong the most when they're developing it? Because I love, you have a very solid strategy of saying, sentence one, sentence two. I have it like
Mm-hmm.
copy and pasted in my Scrivener file when I'm developing my blurb. I just already have it copied there so I can
Oh,
look at it and
nice.
develop mine. Yeah, I really am thrilled to have you here today.
Oh, well, I am honored, but um, I think the thing people that they struggle with is I think partly it's not getting themselves in the right mindset, in the right framework. You might hear some buzzing. I am in a hotel room, so
That's right.
the air just came on, but it is what it is.
It,
When you are trying to fit in a blurb in the 30 or so minutes that you've allocated for yourself, and not realizing that this is a piece of marketing, this is a piece of poetry.
mm,
Whoever created "Just Do It," the slogan for Nike, probably hammered on it for 8 hours. I mean,
yes.
you aren't necessarily going to be able to complete something that is going to make every reader who stumbles upon it excited unless you give it the time that is needed and the space, and for it to be your creative time, not
Mm.
your, well, I do my writing in the morning and I do my marketing after 3 o'clock when I'm half falling asleep. You need your creative time to work on this piece of the marketing, because that piece of the marketing is something that requires creativity.
Yes. So you'd definitely recommend probably coming back a couple of times, not, you're 30 minutes and you're done and never look at it again.
Yes, definitely don't do that, especially because you don't know if you have any typos. So
No. Yeah,
you
that's a
should
good one.
check. Oh, and share your blurb with your editor
Yes.
when
Oh,
you
that's a
are
good
writing
idea.
the book. because then they will catch the mistakes that you don't catch yourself.
Yes, that's a very good point, and I definitely have seen some what looked like very well-sounding blurbs online, but then yeah, you read them and you notice, sometimes it's little things, commas or periods, but sometimes it is a word wrong. You're like, oh, you always do a good deed and let your author know so that they
Oh yes,
can
yeah,
figure it out.
yeah. You see something about a blurb, say something about a blurb.
Yes, that's a very good idea. Well, I mean, we've mentioned the AMS ad challenges you've run, so just in case there's an author out there who is not aware of AMS ads and what they are, could you give a quick description of what they are and how did you come up with doing these challenges?
Oh, that's a great question. So, um, Amazon ads, AMS ads, whatever you want to call them, these are the ads that you see on Amazon when you're searching for a book. When you type something into the search bar, you'll often notice there's some ads at the top, there's some ads kind of interspersed in the search results, and then there's also some ads that show up on every page, every book page. There's a carousel. You'll see a little sponsored icon when you know that those are the ads. And those ads are placed by publishers or other authors who run through the Amazon advertising platform, and they will bid what they want to spend per click. They say, I want to bid 40 cents per click. And then someone, if a reader clicks on the ad and then goes to check out your book page, you get charged for that click. So you would get charged 40 cents or a little bit less for someone to click onto that ad. And the goal, of course, is to bid low enough so that you're not paying so much per click, because you could bid $5. And I know people who've accidentally bid $5 and get $5 clicks. And chances are, if your book is selling for $2.99, that is not going to be a effective use of your money.
No.
Yeah. And so if that's part of the game, is bidding low enough, the other part of the game is, and it goes back to the blurb, it goes to the cover, it goes to how well something has been written to market. You want to get a sale for as few number of clicks as possible, because even if you're getting clicks for 10 cents, if it takes 40 clicks for someone to buy your book, well, then you're going to be paying $4 every time you sell a book. And if your book's $2.99, then you're not going to be making that money. So you play the game of bidding as low as you can and still getting traction, and making sure that your book converts with as few clicks as possible. I like to say about 6 to 8 clicks. I used to say 10, but now I say 6 to 8 clicks, because some books are shorter, some books are standalones, and 10, one sale for every 10 clicks sometimes isn't profitable. Right. So about 6 to 8, especially if the book's in Kindle Unlimited, 6 to 8 clicks per sale is a good ratio for profitability, and then trying to keep that bid low. So that was just the answer to the first question.
Wow.
The answer to the second question is, I've been pretty fortunate to connect with a few people who have really had success running challenges. One of the first challenges I ever joined as a participant was a challenge called the Simple Green Smoothie Challenge.
Oh, I like that.
I know. And I was very fortunate to be in a mastermind group, which is a group of entrepreneurs, or a group of people trying to use their smarts together. So it's the mastermind. And this group had one of the co-founders of the Simple Green Smoothie Challenge in it. And one of the things her name is Jada Selner. And one of the things I learned from her was that challenge for spending $0 on marketing brought in over 1 million people.
Wow.
And I
That's
said,
amazing.
well, challenges sound cool.
Yeah.
Um, so seeing that challenge and seeing other challenges, I knew I really wanted to do one. And it was just a matter of trying to figure out, well, what about Amazon ads could we do a challenge about? And really, I think that the thing a lot of people struggle with is the creation of these ads. And so if we could provide as much support as possible, the right documentation, the right resources to help people get over every technical hurdle, mental hurdle, just like a glitch hurdle,
Time hurdle.
time
Just
hurdle,
making the time for it. Yes.
and getting over all of those in a short period of time, I thought that uh, people would really take to it. And we've been very fortunate that word of mouth is good. We do spend a lot of money on marketing our own thing, and now we're on our 6th one, and it's
Wow.
been over 20,000 people have taken the challenges.
That's fantastic. And they're a great motivational. I mean, if you're tempted to do AMS ads and you just don't know where to start, or you're just, you can go find all this research in different places and just not take the time to synthesize it. And you just put it in front of you and you give a deadline and you have people supporting you and commenting on your stuff and, helping you out. It's like, it's a whirlwind, but you get through it, and you do finally, if there's some hurdle for you to start, you kind of get beyond it. The next thing you know, you're doing AMS ads and it's amazing, and it's been a month, and then the next challenge comes up and you have to join that one too, because you always have something new to learn. And it's like NaNoWriMo, you're joining with a bunch of authors, and I see a lot of faces that I've known. I've been an author since 2012, so there's a lot of other writers I know, and you connect and you lose touch over time, and then you reconnect, and I've seen them in the challenge, so it's also been a great, like, hey, how have you been doing? I haven't seen you for 2 years. So it's fun. It's a fun group that you do run, and they're informative and
Thank you.
helpful.
We really enjoy it, and I love fostering those connections. We need community more than ever right now, and so if I can play, and my company and the people I work with can play a small role in providing some of that community, we are absolutely all for it.
No, I definitely think you do. And yes, 2020 especially, we need our community a little bit more sympathetic and a few more extra arms to support us all this year. So
So true.
with the AMS ads, do you think, I mean, you've noticed that, you're the number of clicks, you've dropped it from 10 to 6 to 8. So do you think as well that there's any keywords or genres that AMS ads might be getting saturated in? Is this something you're concerned about in the future? That, because I noticed like Facebook ads, they had a golden age, and now they're a lot harder to get traction on. Do you think the same thing will happen with the AMS ads?
I think it's very possible. I was at the 2019 20 Books to 50K conference, and I was talking about ads, and I mentioned that Amazon ads are underpriced right now because a lot of people can and do make profit off it. And I didn't realize at first. I was hearing a noise from the crowd, and people were shushing me because
Oh.
they were like, "There's Amazon ad reps in the room," and I'm like, "Oh, okay. Sorry, don't raise our prices. Come on." But to this point, they are still underpriced, and people can still make money off of them. I think the very, very popular genres, your paranormal, your contemporary romance, those are going to be more saturated. There's no question. But one of the things that currently is true here in December 2020 is, because things are always changing, but
Right.
currently right now, because Amazon doesn't just focus on the price of your bid, but also on how relevant your book is, how similar your book is to
Oh.
the things you're targeting.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a carrot. I used to think that it was a ranking system, and it was the first place has a $2 bid, and second place has $1.80, and third place has $1.60. I used to think that. I think it was
Uh-huh.
Janet Margot who had worked with Amazon advertising in developing the platform. She was the one who I think was the first to inform me that actually you could have a 40-cent bid, 30-cent bid, and be the first in the carousel.
Oh.
Oh, I didn't realize this. How is this possible? And it's because relevancy is such a huge factor. If your book is so perfectly uh, coming of age fantasy, it's got the right cover, it's got the right title, people are clicking on it, people are buying it, the conversion rate is very good, and the conversion rate, particularly from the ads, is good, it's going to be higher up in the rankings than a book that isn't as well marketed.
But it
And so
has
right
a higher
now,
bid price. So that is
exactly,
interesting.
right. So that's why you always want to target books that are very close to your own. And you
Mm-hmm.
don't want to try, more is not necessarily going to be better unless you can come up with more and more very perfect targets.
Okay. Well, that explains a lot of the strategies even you teach of refining the keywords and finding the
Mm-hmm.
right books to target, because that's really the key to not spending a ton of money, but also getting your book seen.
Yes,
Oh, that's,
exactly.
like I said, every time I talk to you, I learn more. So this is really, that's a good tip. Now I'm
Well,
already
I
thinking,
aim to help.
like,
Yeah.
well, you do, definitely. Oh, that's interesting. So you think, so that's good to know that, AMS ads are not saturated, because they are working now, and it's always important to find a way. We've gone past the you don't need to market. If you want your book seen, you basically need to market in some way these years, 2020,
Yes.
2021. That's just the reality we're in. We're now, the big book publishers they're still out there, but there's enough indie authors that we're running this as a business that we've got to consider advertising anymore.
Yeah, you were an author since 2012. I started in 2010, and it used to be easier. There's no
Yes. Oh
question.
my goodness.
There's
Yes.
no question.
I refer to those early years as the Wild West, where, I mean, you could just dash up a book, dash up a cover, dash up, something you wrote as a blurb, and people would find it and buy it. And even if you did a Kindle KU Unlimited countdown, I mean, people would download it by the thousands because there was less than a million books. But it's a
And
little,
back in the day, it was
yeah.
and it thought that those books were paid, so your
Oh,
sales rank would be like number one afterwards. Those were interesting times for funny glitches to be discovered that made some people very wealthy.
yes, it was good for them. I did not get on one of those glitches, but that's okay.
Neither
I'm
did
still doing it. I still love it. And I love
good.
helping other authors as well. I mean, it's half the community. I think this is one of the nicest communities you can find online, or other authors. So it's just a really wonderful place to be.
I agree.
So, well, do you think, though, Amazon is always going to be the king, either for finding books or the ads? I mean, do you think there's going to be eventually, maybe down the road, another way for readers to discover authors? I know as Amazon grows, and I mean, they don't even give away how many books they now host on their platform and on their servers. It's, people
Yeah.
are saying 8-9 million books easily. Do you think it's gonna get too crowded? Is there going to be something else other than Amazon that readers will be able to find other authors, or is it just going to be, the really crowded beach where no one's got their little square and that's about it?
Well, we've been waiting and hoping for someone to just come out of the gate and be the next Amazon,
Mm.
and there's definitely lots of smaller pockets of some people who are having some success on Kobo or Apple or Barnes and Noble, but I'm most intrigued by people selling direct.
Mm.
And what I remember, uh, Michael Scott Earl, who was I believe his books were taken down from Amazon. Amazon had said that there were some rules violated. I have no idea.
Hmm.
Everything I consider allegedly until
Right.
I see some documentation on it. But from what I hear, and he was doing very, very well. One of the top 100 authors on Amazon at the
Wow.
time, and making a lot of money. A lot of it was from Kindle Unlimited. A lot of it was from Amazon type sources of income. But from what I hear, he has used more of the crowdfunding and direct sales models based on a very, very large email list to just say, well, if Amazon won't have me, then I'm going to do it
Mm.
myself. And Chris, on your podcast, talking about his very successful Kickstarter. Now, I know his was with his RPG connected to
Yes.
his world's IP, but it's still connected. I have a student who crowdfunds his comic books. I
Oh,
mean,
nice.
there is just so much opportunity to branch into connecting more directly with the consumer, and there's so many benefits. I think uh, Pierre Alex Jonty, who has had some amazing posts on the 20 books to 50K group.
Mm-hmm.
He's had months of $50,000 to $100,000 a month selling direct
Wow. That is
from
amazing.
his, I believe he uses a Shopify store, and I could be wrong about that, but I know he does it direct. And he and Michael and Chris and folks who do have that more direct relationship via email, they have the ability to pivot when something doesn't work as well on Amazon. And I think there may come a reckoning in
Hmm.
2021, 2022, if something funky happens with Kindle Unlimited or Audible or what have you, the folks who have primarily relied on Amazon, who do not at the same time grow their email list and their
Mm-hmm.
fan base, they could be in trouble. I think that it's a really good idea to not put all your eggs in one basket and to always be growing your base of people and connecting with them.
Oh, absolutely love that message personally because I'm wide and I actually do sell off my website. I mean, it's small. I have a small list and compared to these people you're referring to, these other authors, but it is good. And readers, I think, have gotten very savvy. A lot of readers are also authors a
Right.
little bit, so they know what's going on. But yeah, I do have some readers who will always go to my website and buy my books directly from me, or they'll at least ask, saying, "What's the difference?" And I think that's fantastic. They understand a lot more about the marketplace than I think a lot of people realize. And that's good because
Mm.
it is important that they're seeing a value in our writing and they want to support authors and have them write more books because that's the only way that they'll get more books is by supporting, their favorites. So that's really interesting. So I did want to know. So we got into the author and writing conversation. So with everything, you're working right now on the next challenge, which I'll have to ask you in a couple minutes when that's going to
Sure.
happen. But first, so you're an author too. How much time do you get to write with all of these other things you're juggling? You have your own business and you have these challenges and so
Mm.
much going on.
Well, it's funny. I was sitting in the hotel today. Right, it's funny. It's like I've done this a few times now,
Yeah.
and now my 3-year-old daughter says, uh, let's go to your hotel. I'm like, it's not my hotel. It's a hotel room that we can walk to. But yeah, it's adorable. So I'm sitting here working on the slides for the upcoming challenge, and I look at my I'm typing into a Neo 2, and I look, all right, well, how much have I written today? How much have I written? And it's like 6,800 words
Oh,
after
wow.
from 6 a.m. onward. And I write plenty, but I have not had much chance to write books of late, and it's been a couple years, and I do miss it, but I think that I'm hoping to fit some in 2021. I'm hoping to squeeze some in, but I also know that if I don't, I it's okay, because as I often am telling a lot of the people, a lot of the authors I work with, find the thing that is providing the most value, find the thing that is providing the most profit, whatever your goal is, find the thing that is most achieving that, and then focus a lot more on that. Like, if you have, 3 readers from this series you never finished from like 5 years ago, and you have 3 readers who keep asking, don't do the old, well, people keep asking about it. No, not people, not my readers. 3 readers keep asking about it. And if only 20 people bought that series in total 5 years ago, then no, that is not the thing you should be working on unless it provides something else for you, because you need to be working on the most important thing, the one thing, as the Gary Keller book says. You need to find the one thing, and you need to focus on that, because it is so easy to be pulled in a million different contradictory directions. And right now, writing a book might be a fun middle of the year project for me, but for now, it's like, this is the thing that helps the most people. My goal in authordom is to be at the point where if 10,000 authors emailed me on the same day needing help of all different varieties, that my team and I could actually handle that demand.
Wow.
That we could support basically the entire community at scale all at the same time. And that is a goal that's going to take a long time to get. But the challenge right now is the thing that best fulfills that goal. And so everything creative, I used airline points, but this hotel was not cheap. Anything I can do to help that goal, that one thing goal, that top priority goal, I'm going to do. And I think everyone listening should do the same thing.
That is just brilliant. And you just so you know, you are already doing a fantastic job, because I know any question that gets asked, any question I've asked in the challenge group, you or someone from your team has gotten back to, and usually several people have gotten back to and given tips and help, and actually spent the time, where I know I've been in other places and challenges and other groups where, you just kind of sometimes hear crickets when you ask that hard question. And yes, you even helped me once on a perma free, trying to figure out what bid price to put in. By the way, it worked. So thank you for that. Yes.
Oh, you're welcome.
Oh, it's very good. So when is this challenge you're working on? When is it going to be ready? When are you going to do your next one? Your number 6.
Number 6. It's coming up January 11th. So Monday, January 11th. And, kicking off 2021. And as per usual, it'll be 5 days of videos. They're not all contiguous, so they kind of do bleed in to the following week. And there is a video 0, so it really ends up being 6. And so just block out that whole January 11th to about the 20th, and that'll be a good time to work on it. And I can absolutely, Autumn, give you the link to it.
Absolutely.
People can check it out, and I'll probably put a link at sellingforauthors.com/January now that I'm thinking about it. And then, I'm the more the merrier. We always try to have like several dozen people at any given time just available to answer anything and everything so that we can help people at scale.
Yes. One of my favorite things about your challenge is that it's 5, you call it 5 days, but then, with the 0, it's a 6, but you give a break. There's always, I usually think it's usually between 3 and 4, but you let people catch up on their homework. Yeah. And I've had to use that for sure. And it makes it a little less stressful. You don't feel so far behind. You're like, okay, I've got the weekend. I can do this now. So that's always been wonderful.
Yeah, I know I would want the same. So I'm glad you found it helpful.
It is. You're very, very kind to the authors you help in many ways. Oh, yes. So that's perfect because this is going out on December 29th. So just perfect. 12 days from when this is live, it'll be time and you'll be done with it and you will not be in a hotel room.
Yes, I'm pretty sure. I'm almost certain.
Okay, good. Yes. So where else can listeners find you other than, we'll put the links in the show notes as well, of course.
Sure. Well, if you like podcasts, you can also listen to the Sell More Book Show podcast. We just did episode 340 something, I think. So
congratulations.
That has been going for over. Thank you. That's been going for I guess 6 and change years. So we're happy to always keep doing that. And if you haven't listened in like a year, got new co-host H. Claire Taylor, who is just fantastic, and definitely that is, aside from the challenges, that's another great place to hang out with me.
Excellent. Well, thank you again for the time. Is there anything you would like to, any last words of advice you want to give to authors out there for whether they're thinking of blurbs or marketing or AMS, just some last bit of hope as we end 2020, as this will be like one of the last days of the year when this is released?
It's very, very, very likely that 2021 is going to be better than 2020. So please, if you have not taken into account that 2020 was very hard, if you've not taken that into account with your writing productivity and you said, I had a bad year writing, or if your sales have been down and you say, I had a bad year of sales, just give yourself a little bit of, leeway. Give yourself a little bit of wiggle room, because it was a hard year, very, very challenging for a lot of people. And you should not hold yourself to the same high standards of the past when a generationally bad year comes around. So please be kind to yourself. And in 2021, continue to be kind as you do everything you can to snap yourself out of any funk and go do the work you need to do to be as successful as you hope to become.
That is a wonderful advice for the end of, I love that, a generationally trying year. It was a doozy. It's one we'll talk about for a long time to come.
So many memes.
Yes. Thank you again so much for joining us, Bryan. We appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you in just under 2 weeks in the AMS Edge Challenge.
Thank you, Autumn. I'll see you there.
All right. Bye. Join us next week when Jesper will be back, and we'll be sharing some great book ideas that we don't think we'll ever get around to writing. But hey, maybe they will inspire you.
If you like what you just heard, there's a few things you can do to support the AmWriting Fantasy podcast. Please tell a fellow author about the show and visit us at Apple Podcast and leave a rating and review. You can also join Autumn and Jasper on patreon.com/AmWritingFantasy. For as little as $1 a month, you'll get awesome rewards and keep the Am Writing Fantasy podcast going. Stay safe out there and see you next Monday.